Hey Luminary, welcome to November's StarCast. This month's sky is packed with transformative energy, starting off with a powerful Scorpio New Moon. We'll dive into how November's busy astrology invites deep shifts, release, and renewal, helping you tap into your inner compass while the winds change and advocate for what's next. All the while setting a powerful intention with this Scorpio New Moon. If you're a subscriber, thanks for joining me again. And if you're new here, welcome to Star Powered. I'm Leslie Tagorda, your host, a multiracial, multifaceted professional musician turned web designer turned astrologer. Astrology has helped me overcome an identity crisis by revealing my star powered strengths. Now, I use these strengths to guide healers, entrepreneurs, and change makers like you in making their mark through astrology. Hello, friends. It has been so long since I've been here on another episode, and I have truly missed you. In fact, I've truly missed me. What does that mean? Well, I missed my mental clarity, my emotional steadfastness, because this past eclipse season, starting off with that Pisces that Virgo eclipse during Virgo season. Oh my gosh, was it already just during the end of Virgo season? Really, absolutely knocked me off my feet. All good things, but when too many good things happen in a short period of time all at once, it adds up to not such an amazing thing. Well, I want to tell you about that but before I tell you about that, I just want to go over what we're going to be covering today in today's episode because I have a lot to share. First of all, I want to go through the astrology, the business starcast for November because this is an action-packed month. I know you're already feeling it. And I'm recording this on October 30th. And if you look at the sky today, there are so many oppositions. No wonder we're feeling like, I want this, I want that, I want patience, I don't have enough time. We're being pulled in so many directions. I wish I could say that November's stars are going to have be a little more supportive, but there's going to be a lot of shifting winds. And so, really, what I want you to take from today is how do you learn to tap into your inner knowing, your inner wisdom, your inner peace, all of that Scorpio energy, set an intention with this Scorpio new moon so that you can stay constant when everything else is swirling about us. Okay, so we're going to get into that. If you want to skip over, go ahead and skip over to the November cosmic shift. Right now, I just want to share a little personal story because if you're watching this on video, you might have noticed my background has shifted because we got to move. My family and I had been kind of quasi looking for a new house since the eclipse season back in April. And we had put an offer on a house back in April and we got blasted out of the water. And this time, I kid you not, okay, we had that eclipse, that full moon eclipse right before equinox. There was a bunch of energies there. I went out with a really good mom friend of mine who also is a business owner, but she's also really woo woo. And she's like, Leslie, let's go do this ritual, for the eclipse and for the equinox. And so we went out to Pacifica. So I live in San Francisco. Pacifica is a little bit south of San Francisco, and there's all these beautiful beaches. And we went out to the beach and we made our offerings. I had offered some money for prosperity, some milk for purity. We had sage, like the sage was just burning up. We had different types of candles and smoke medicine. We just like went all out. And chocolate covered almonds. I always love to offer the things that I want in return. So, like money for abundance, chocolate for sweetness, milk for purity, fire for passion, yeah, all these things, right? So, we did this beautiful ceremony. And my cousin had messaged me. She sent me a text and said, Hey, Leslie, there is somebody in my school is previewing their house for sale, and it's in the neighborhood that you want. It has all the things you want. I think this is your house. So let me tell you a little thing about my cousin. My cousin is totally psychic. She has like just this she also is like all Scorpio. And she's like, this is your house. And so I called my other friend. I feel so lucky that I have all of these wonderful friends that just are anyway. So I called my other friend who also is my real estate agent and I said, "Hey, Lisa, can we go look at this house? The preview is tomorrow." And this is like just right after we did our ceremony. And she's like, "Yeah, let's go look at the house." And so we went to look at the house on Saturday. We went to go look at the house on Sunday. And by Tuesday, we had made an offer. By Wednesday, we had our offer accepted, and everything just happened so fast. And this was during that Pisces full moon eclipse. Okay. So right before equinox. Now, this eclipse was sitting right near my Imam Kweli. If you know your Imam Kweli, it is the bottom of your chart away, right off the opposite end of your midheaven. It is the root of your chart. It connects you to your past, to your ancestry. It is the beginning of your fourth house, your home. And to have an eclipse right there, and then to have a house like that was apparently just meant to be, just everything, this wave of energy just flowed. And all of a sudden, within like 2 weeks, we had our loan done, we had our taxes done because I was still behind on my taxes. We had all of our paperwork done, we had the packers, we had the movers, we had all the things. And ta-da, I am here. Now, I am super grateful and I feel super blessed because obviously there's not, not everybody in the world right now has these, these opportunities to be able to uproot and to move into a more spacious place. But if you can just celebrate with me for a moment and just like how all of the wild energies of everything happening so fast and everything that you really have wanted for a long time happening in an instant, it was not comfortable. And it just completely derailed me in terms of like my work and being able to like come here and record an episode for you. So if you have missed me, I have absolutely missed you and I've really missed my routine. And here's to starting new routines now that we have this new moon in Scorpio that is going to support all of us and open up this beautiful November. Now, in the meanwhile, as all of this is happening, work was still happening too. Music was still happening, all the things. I feel like if you're watching me in video, I think I've gone even whiter, which is fine with me. The most exciting thing that has happened is that the first graduating class of Astro Brand certified practitioners is now fully graduated. There's a new section on my website, Star Powered, that you can see right on the homepage. So if you want to celebrate and see all of these beautiful new practitioners who have spent 6 months of learning the Astro Brand training and 6 months of mentorship with me, they are fully available to do Astro Brand readings for you. We have practitioners in all parts of the world. So if you're in Europe, you might want to go meet with a practitioner in Norway. If you're in Mexico, we have practitioner in Mexico. And then, of course, we have practitioners all across the United States. So if you're interested in checking out the new Astro Brand certified practitioners, head on over to my website, starpowered.com. I am so excited to bring this first ripple out into the world. I'll be starting certification again in the spring. So if you're interested, you can head over to my website and get on that wait list so that you can apply when doors open. So yes, lots of things have been happening, and maybe you've been feeling the same energetic shifts for you. In November, we are opening up with this beautiful Scorpio new moon. Now, I say beautiful Scorpio new moon because I personally love Scorpio energy. I'm not afraid of Scorpio energy. I actually love the power and the intensity of it. But this Scorpio new moon that we'll talk about in detail has this beautiful water grand trine. Yet, the two rulers, Mars and Pluto, are sitting exactly opposite each other. And I want us to kind of like orient ourselves around this opposition between Pluto and Mars right now, because this is pretty much what all the mundane astrologers are talking about right now because of the United States election that happens on November 4th, where both Pluto and Mars, that's pretty much sitting across each other. When we have these oppositions, we can think of them as face-offs. We can think of them as times of conflict, these two energies that love to kind of like assert themselves and, be intense and, flex and things like that are in the sky. So we are feeling this. And however, this opposition of Mars and Pluto, Mars currently in Cancer, Pluto currently in Capricorn, but for not very long. These two energies, however that falls in your chart, you may be feeling this extra intensely. But with that said, with both Pluto and Mars opposite each other, if Pluto's energy is to intensify and to death and rebirth, it's not just death, it's not just ending, but it's a complete process of transformation from death and reborn in something of a more power. And then we have that Mars energy, which is about advocating and energizing and motivating. We can turn these two energies into wonderful, powerful inner strength, rising from the ashes kind of energy. So I don't want you to think that this is all doom and gloom. Everything is going to like burn to the ground. Something new is also being created. And when I think about advocacy, when I think about that Mars energy to energize and motivate, wherever you live in the world right now, please do your part to stand up and to speak up for what is right, to do whatever you can in your power, in your communities. Anything that is even small has massive ripple results. Okay. So if you're in the United States, you know that this is election day. I don't want you to only focus on this presidential campaign. Of course, if you're living in a swing state, if you're living in Wisconsin or Georgia, you have a high responsibility to go out and vote for the president. And, choose wisely. I'm not going to tell you who to choose, but choose wisely. Vote with your values. Vote for human rights, vote for climate justice, vote for women's rights, vote for safety, vote for whatever your personal values are, vote with them. But don't let it stop there. Make sure you're looking at all of the ballot measures that are particular to your community, because there's a lot of shady players with a lot of money that are coming in, and especially in California, trying to oust long-term mayors like in Oakland, that are actually doing really good things, but this is the way that like big money is coming in. And so if you're not paying attention and voting for even your community ballot measures, there are some things that can be going on. You're like, what just happened? Do your due diligence, read those voter guides, make an informed decision, and remember that when you vote, there were people that gave up their lives so that you could have the privilege to vote. So do your part, be a contributing member of society, and get out to vote. All of that said, I want you to do your part, because I know that you're here as a change maker, meaning like, how can I make this world a better place? And to make this world a better place, your civic duty is to make, and if you live in a democratic society, if you live in the United States or Canada, it is to vote. Okay. In November, we have a lot of things changing and shifting, and your vote has consequences. Your actions have consequences that we will be seeing down the line. So, as an overview, we open up with our new moon in Scorpio that I'll be talking about in detail just after I go over the November highlights. And then on November 2nd, Mercury moves into Sagittarius. On November 3rd, Mars leaves Cancer and moves into Leo on November 3rd. Now, remember, Mars is currently in its shadow zone, where in December 6th, Mars is going to go retrograde. So, Mars has just been sitting across Pluto, and it's going to be sitting across Pluto for basically the next few months. That's very exciting. Now, on November 3rd, I want you to mark your calendars because this is a really big shifting kind of day. When Mars, our planet of motivation and activation, which has been in emotional and sensitive and protective Cancer, now goes into Leo, Mars is going to want the limelight, right? Mars is going to be like, I've done all of this like emotional lifting behind the scenes. Now I want to be noticed. I want to take credit for all the things that I've done in Leo. But on that same day, on November 3rd, this is when Mars, right before it enters Leo, is going to be sitting exactly across Pluto, right? That's why this Mars Pluto, this energy is going to keep on coming back, and it's going to be at a really high point during November 4th on the United States elections. And then two benefics of the sky, the planets of luck and abundance, Venus and Jupiter, they're going to be sitting across each other also on November 3rd. And so when these two benefics are sitting across the sky, I feel like this is a little bit of saving grace. We have like two energies that are all about like giving grace and believing in each other and values sitting across the sky. So that is going to give us a little bit of grace on that November 3rd. Now, as we fast forward into the month on November 7th, Mercury enters the shadow zone when it crosses that point of Sagittarius of 6 degrees. Now, Mercury is going to be retrograde towards the end of the month. So, as soon as it crosses over that Sagittarius of 6 degrees, if you have any planets between Sagittarius of 6 degrees and Sagittarius of 22 degrees, I want you to start to notice what's being foreshadowed. Those are the things, those communications and messaging and, different mindset and thoughts that you're going to have a chance to redo, to process over, to reevaluate. And so start to notice what communications or thought processes or mindset starts breaking down, because that's what you're going to get to redo. Now, on November 11th, Venus has been moving super fast in the sky right now. On November 11th, Venus leaves Sagittarius for Capricorn. Okay. I personally, I have Venus in Capricorn. So I get Venus in Capricorn. It's not really the most, graceful or Venetian, but she likes the classics, right? She likes to get things done. And so I'm really excited for Venus to enter Capricorn on November 11th. Now we have a beautiful a full moon in Taurus on November 15th. This full moon in Taurus usually coincides somehow with the American Thanksgiving, which is usually the second or third week of November. But that Taurus energy of just like abundance and lusciousness and savoring, I hope you really get to feel into this energy to make the most and to give your thanks at this time, no matter if you're in the United States or beyond. Now, coming towards the end of November, we're going to be having some kind of energy shifts in terms of really close planetary realignments. So on November 15th, Saturn retrograde ends at Pisces of 12 degrees. Now, remember that Saturn had started its retrograde process at the end of June on June 29th at Pisces of 19 degrees. So it's only 7 degrees that Saturn has crossed back over from Pisces of 19 to Pisces 12. And so for about a week before and a week after November 15th, we're going to really feel Saturn on this kind of 12-degree mark because Saturn is so far out there. Basically, when it's time to change directions, it's like one of those if you've ever seen on the highway or the freeway, like one of those big trucks that have like all of those wheels. It's so far out that it takes a long time for it to stop. And in order for a planet to change directions, just like an automobile, when you go from reverse to direct, you have to come to a complete stop. And the further out the planet, the longer it takes to stop and change directions. And so at that Pisces 12-degree mark, if you have any planets or energies there, Saturn is going to be putting the pressure on that Pisces of 12-degree mark for especially like the days right around November 15th on the front end and the back end. So if you have any energies there, just pad your energy, give yourself some time. Remember to not put so much pressure on yourselves because Saturn is already going to do that for you. Now, the other thing at this end of the month is that Pluto on November 19th says goodbye to Capricorn for our lifetimes. Pluto enters Aquarius on November 19th for this is like that last time. It's not going to track back into Capricorn anymore. Pluto has done its job in terms of like transforming and rebirthing this, everything that is symbolized by Capricorn, big corporations, big governments, anything that's super hierarchical or oppressive. Hopefully, Pluto has done its job and now is going to enter into Aquarius, where Pluto will have its full reins working on Aquarius ideals to transform. We'll be seeing more people power, more collective contribution, more humanitarian and future ways of thinking, both, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. Pluto loves to integrate it all and change it into something new. So who knows what we're going to see over the next 20 years. On November 21st, the sun leaves Scorpio and enters Sagittarius. I love Sagittarius season. It just feels so fun, so exploratory, so hopeful and optimistic. Then on November 22nd, we have our Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius of 22 degrees, Mercury has gotten to 22 degrees of Sagittarius. It's going to take a step back through Sagittarius of 6 degrees. Your life purpose maybe has shifted, your beliefs maybe have shifted, your vision and your why you do things. Maybe there are things that need to be reevaluated so that you can realign them to whatever your new vision or your purpose or your bigger why is. This is going to be your chance. And then on November 30th, we have a second new moon. So I know a new moon, 2 new moons in 1 month is not called a blue moon, but I'm thinking of it as a blue moon. 2 new moons in the month, one that opens the month, November 1st in Scorpio, and one that closes November on November 30th with our new moon in Sagittarius. Of course, I'll be having an entire new episode about that new moon in Sagittarius. So, my friends, you can see that this November is a really big energy month. And in order to keep constant, to trust our inner compass, to go in the direction that we desire to go, is going to require so much emotional steadiness that this new moon in Scorpio is going to give us. Now, a lot of times when I'm working with my clients, right, it's so easy to get distracted by life. There's always something happening, whether you're caretaking for an aging parent, or you're moving homes, or you're taking care of your children, or, there's always going to be something in our lives. But how do we keep on track? I love to tell my clients, especially my one on one clients, that you are the captain of the ship. Okay. And as the captain of the ship, that requires knowing where you want to go, and pointing the ship in that right direction, getting the people that support you, whether this be your team members or your partners or your family members, getting them on board to say, like, this is the way we are going, right? A little bit easier if you're a business owner and you have a team that, that helps you. But your job is not to hand over the reins to other people and say, okay, let's go here, let's go over there. Now, if it's collective, that's a different story, but you're still the leader. If you're the owner of the business, right? You can have collective decisions of maybe where you want to go. But once you decide where you want to go, it is your responsibility to keep yourself directed. Even if the winds change, even if a storm comes, even if there is a swell, how do you keep in that direction? To keep in that direction is to make a commitment to yourself that no matter what, every day you are going to chip away a little bit at a time. You will be amazed that 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, if you can commit to doing that one little thing every single day, that adds up. You don't need to wait for the perfect opportunity, because guess what? The perfect opportunity is never going to exist. Okay. So if you've been stalling because all of the winds have changed on getting something done, 1 minute, 2 minutes a day, focusing on the thing that you want. You are the captain. Where do you want to go? To commit to where you want to go is to constantly change that steering wheel every time you shift off. And to shift that wheel is to spend at least 1 minute a day doing the thing that is most important. Now, I know 1 minute seems insignificant, but pretty soon 1 minute's not going to be enough for you. You'll want to spend 2 minutes. You want to spend 5 minutes. After you spend 5 minutes, you're like, well, I'm already doing it. The hardest thing is to get started. And that's why, to be kind and compassionate to yourself, to just start with 1 minute, you'll be surprised at how much you can do. Okay, my friends? So please remember that. Let's talk about this new moon in Scorpio. Now, I don't know if you know this about me. If you're new to my community or to my work, I got into astrology because I was doing new moon rituals way before they got really popular on Instagram. I was setting intentions, 10 years ago, that consistently were coming true because I spent the time during the new moon to get clear on what I wanted. Now, I know that this is a really sore point for a lot of people. They're like, I don't know what I want. Well, if you don't know what you want, you can simply intend to get clear on what you want. Like, it is that simple. And so, if you're also a person like, well, I don't have time to get clear about what I want. Well, guess what? If you don't have time to get clear what you want and to be able to articulate or write down what you want, the universe can't hear you. The universe can't answer your call to what you want. And so I highly encourage you to carve out the time, whether, again, just be 5 minutes to get clear on what you want, and set an intention for your new moon ritual. I have a few episodes on how to set a new moon ritual. I'll put that in the notes for you, a link to that episode. So if you want steps on how to create a new moon ritual for yourself, if you want to go all in, I promise you it works. I even keep a new moon journal because I like to have all of my new moon intentions in one place. And when I go back and I look at that journal, every single thing has been accomplished. Maybe not in exactly the timeline that I wanted them, but eventually it gets accomplished because I have my mind's eye. I know exactly what I want and I've committed to it because I've written this down. And so, one way to use this new moon to understand what you want is to take a look at where that degree of the new moon exists in your chart. Because if you follow that degree, if you follow that new moon through your chart, you're going to see that that new moon activates. It lands in a specific house in your chart and it goes through all 12 houses throughout an entire year. And imagine you creating a specific intention for each area of your life throughout the entire year. Well, you end up with a whole balanced life, a life that you want, designed by you. So, if you haven't been sold on creating a new moon intention, let this be your reminder that you can have everything you want when you work with the new moon intentionally. Okay, take a look, grab your natal chart, and find out where Scorpio of 9 degrees exists in your natal chart. Look at it by house. Look to see if you have any planets in conjunction around Scorpio of 9 degrees. Look if you have planets in Taurus across the way around 9 degrees. Look in Aquarius and Leo around 9 degrees to see if you have any planets squaring. Look to see in the water, Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer around 9 degrees to see if you have any other water planets that are supporting you. Those planets that are getting pinged by that Scorpio of 9 degrees where that new moon is, I like to say that those planets have a voice in your new moon. They want to be involved in helping you with attaining what it is that you want or imbuing you with a newfound strength. So let's take a look at this new moon chart. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice I am sharing the new moon chart. New moon happens on November 1st, on Friday, November 1st at 5:47 a.m. Pacific. The chart that I have here is cast from San Francisco because that's where I live. Disregard the houses if you are not in San Francisco. Now, if you're looking at this chart, you can see that this new moon in Scorpio is trining Saturn, Saturn at 12 degrees, getting ready to station. And so when we have a trine, I like to say that the trine, this energy just is. It is a gift for you. You don't have to work at it. You don't have to try it. You don't have to put any effort in it. It's just there for you. The thing that you need to do is to recognize and notice that the gift is there waiting for you. And so, if a new moon is about setting an intention, a fresh start in this fresh cycle, and Scorpio is about our emotional knowing, our intuition, our ability to face and hold fear so that we can go into the deepest, darkest parts of the muck to extract all the things that we no longer want, that we can like dissolve when we bring all of these things that we've been shoving down like under the carpet into the dark deep. We bring it to the light, and all of a sudden we see that it holds no power over us anymore. That's when we see that we are the source of power, when we are willing to go deep, when we're willing to trust ourselves, when we're willing to explore the parts of ourselves that maybe we just want to hide instead of bring to the light, but instead we choose to bring it to the light. That is power. And so this Scorpio new moon is saying, how can you trust yourself to do that? How can you listen to your emotional knowing? How can you tap into your intuition and your inner compass? That is Scorpio. That is the new moon that we are intending at this time. And Saturn is there saying, I'm helping you. I'm allowing you to create boundaries. I'm allowing you to create commitment. I'm allowing you to be responsible That's that captain, right? Being the captain of the ship. I am responsible for what I want. There's nobody else I can blame. If I am not getting the things that I want, the only person that I can change is myself. And in order to change things, I need to be crystal clear about what I want and organize my life around what I want because I am responsible for what I want. And so Saturn here is saying you have the ability, the capacity, the commitment to go for what you want and to keep focused on what you want, not allowing all the things that are swirling around you to take you off course. You are committed. So when you're putting your new moon intention together about what you want that is related to your inner power, your emotional knowing, to healing or bringing to light all of the deep things that are holding you back, and to know that you are your source of your own inner power, right? Saturn is saying, you can commit to this. It is safe to commit to this. I have the compassion that even if you hadn't been able to do it before, you now have the ability, the commitment, the responsibility, the tenacity to be able to do it now. So in your intention, write that in. I am now committed and able to focus on what I want. Okay. Now, the rulers of Scorpio, the traditional ruler, of course, is Mars, Mars at its final degree of Cancer, and then its modern ruler, Pluto. Both of these energies are intense. They like to flex their muscle, they like to have some sort of control. Now, I know that people have a lot of issues with the word power because oftentimes when we think of power, we think of somebody having control over us. But when we're looking at it this time, we are wanting to reframe what power and what control actually mean. What we individually have control and agency for ourselves, that's Mars, that agency. And then Pluto, that trust, that ability to know that, hey, there's something better on the other side, that even if I fail at this, there's a learning lesson. I am being transmuted. I am being made more able. I am being made more powerful. I love to think of Pluto as the phoenix rising from the ashes, or the butterfly that emerges from a cocoon. Would the butterfly know, right? That in that cocoon, what's happening in that cocoon? What does it feel like to go from a caterpillar getting completely dissolved and transformed in a cocoon, and then all of a sudden emerging as this new ultimate being that has wings and can fly and is so beautiful? Like, does that caterpillar know? Right? Now, if that caterpillar knows, how can you too know that just on the other side of that is waiting? You are waiting, a butterfly with wings waiting to emerge. And so when we have these two co-rulers, Mars, our agency, and Pluto, our ability to transform, that are in opposition, you have a choice. To me, oppositions are about choice. Yes, they can be conflict because in choice requires we choose one over the other. What are you going to choose? Are you going to choose your own agency and motivation and advocacy? Are you going to choose your own power? Or are you going to give your power away? And so, with this kind of opposition, you can see that this opposition is still part of a water grand trine. Mars in Cancer, Neptune in Pisces, and Mercury in Scorpio. When I see Mars and Neptune in some kind of relationship, I call this devotion. Because if Mars is our action and Neptune is our spirit, this is us taking spiritual action. And this is devotion. When you move your body in yoga or dance or in these kinds of ways that is a devotion to something higher, this is going to be the gift of our Scorpio new moon. So even when we make an intention during a new moon ritual, the way that we galvanize this intention into action, into reality, into becoming is through action. Because if you're not taking committed action on the things that you want, guess what? You're not doing anything, right? That action, by taking action, is you telling the universe, I am serious. This is something that I want. And so, this action that you are taking, this devotion, is based in an emotional trifecta. And what I mean by this emotional trifecta with this water trine is that you feel safe to do it. You know that there's something bigger and interconnected to unity and the bigger picture because it's Pisces. And you can trust your thoughts, you can trust your actions because of Mercury and Scorpio. And so to me, this is that water grand trine, this gift that we are ready to take action on our own trust, our inner deep power. Okay, my friends. And so I absolutely love this new moon. If there is something where you felt that you haven't had the power or ability or the agency to make the type of change in your life that you desire, this is your new moon to claim what you want, the power that you need from within to make that happen, and the capacity and commitment and devotion through action that is focused to make this happen. Now, if each one of us can do this for the benefit of society, for the benefit of the collective, not just for the benefit of you, right? That's the difference between an authoritarian figure who's only benefiting themselves versus a collective person, somebody who is really contributing into society, something that benefits them, but also benefits the whole. If your desires, if your intentions and your wants also benefit the whole, this is the kind of leadership that is waiting for us in this not too distant future. Once all of these winds of change have settled, that is what we will be left with. And call me Pollyanna, whatever, I am optimistic about this change, my friend. So I hope that you are optimistic about all of this change, to remember to learn to trust yourself, to trust your inner compass. If that's hard for you, that can be your simple intention for this new moon in Scorpio. I now trust myself, because when you can trust yourself wholeheartedly, you can then trust others, because you will know who to trust, who is trustworthy, and who isn't. All right, my friends, this has been a long episode. I'd love to hear your takeaways and what you are most excited about November on this upcoming Scorpio new moon. All right, my friends, until soon. Bye for now. As a human design projector, my energy shines more brightly because of people like you who share my work. If you enjoy this podcast and want to help build a movement of innovative astrology and leadership and spark the intuitive revolution, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, or better yet, share this podcast with your change-making besties. We will all shine brighter together as we create the future we want to see.